You never forget the first time you see death crawl toward you without making a sound. Not a bang, not a scream, just stillness. That's how it started for us. Aeon 7 was our home. A deep space research station orbiting Quintara G27, a rogue black hole drifting just outside the mapped borders of the Andromeda frontier. Our mission? Observe gravitational anomalies, collect waveform patterns, and study the theoretical intersections of spacetime. We were 11. 8 humans, 1 Vayari translator, 1 ex-military pilot, 1 synthetic intelligence embedded in the station core, and me. My name is Dr. Selene Rhys. I was the protocol officer, specializing in interspecies diplomacy and ethical oversight for the Gravitational Wave Research Project. Bureaucratic on the surface, yes, but Aeon 7 was one of the few places in the quadrant where Earth scientists worked alongside the Vayari consortium. The politics of survival mattered just as much as the science. Everything changed the day the shadow came. It wasn't a ship, not exactly. It was an absence, a tear in the visible universe. Our sensor arrays picked up no heat signature, no emissions, no particle displacement. Just a void in the void. It drifted toward us like a silent predator that had already picked us for dinner. At first, we thought it was a spatial anomaly. Dr. Denton, our communications tech, joked that we should call it the dead spot, but the moment the outer array collapsed, instantly, with no debris, no warning, joking died. That was when we understood. This wasn't a phenomenon. It was a presence. The first to die was Lieutenant Dre. He was doing a visual scan from the hangar deck, staring into that moving shadow with eyes too wide, too hungry. We heard him scream before the cameras cut out. I ran down with Kale, our Vayari xenolinguist. When we opened the door, we found what was left, an oily smear across the bulkhead and a trail of silver-black fluid that ate through reinforced titanium like acid through flesh. We called it Nullicore. Captain Arlo Vex immediately activated lockdown protocol. We were in the heart of a floating lab, not a battleship. Our defenses? Minimal. Our escape options? None. The shadow had cut our propulsion grid, and all quantum communication had been severed by an elegant cascade failure that none of us could trace. The AI said it was an external anomaly. I believed otherwise. Time passes strangely near black holes. Minutes can stretch like weeks. Hours compress into seconds. At first, we tried to stay rational, maintain logs, assign watches, track the substance's movement. It didn't move like a virus or a pathogen. It didn't spread like fire or gas. It flowed like thought, like intention. Coyle said they'd seen something like it during their internment on a lost diplomatic cruiser in the Nevar Expanse. A vessel had vanished mid-transit, later found as a debris cloud with 1 survivor, Coyle. They were only 10 at the time. I asked them if it was the same. No, they whispered. This is worse. The other one drifted. This one hunts. Dr. Leone tried to make sense of the material, but every scan failed. It wasn't just consuming matter. It was unmaking information. Files corrupted just by contact. Metadata shredded. The AI began forgetting protocols, then memories, then names. Within 36 hours, it forgot my voice. Arlo died trying to vent the attacking substance through the plasma exhaust ports. He thought maybe it could be burned. It couldn't. He managed to isolate a portion of it in Engineering Bay 3. For 10 minutes, it sat inert inside a magnetic containment loop. Then it learned. We watched in horror as the material started pulsing, oscillating in frequencies mimicking the magnetic field. Then, it cancelled the field, like it understood the math better than we did. Dr. Myra Leone panicked and attempted to jettison the entire lower station. That's when we realized the Nullicore had already fused itself into the structural lattice. The moment the clamps released, the station ruptured. Vacuum killed half of Biosupport Deck 4, including Myra. By day 3, we were down to 5. Me, Quayle, Denton, Maxie, our pilot, and Anton, the ex-military medic turned engineer. Quayle suggested we hold a last communion, A ritual meal that, in Vayari culture, connects the mind to a spiritual echo field for those about to die. I laughed at first, not because I didn't believe them, but because it felt so absurd to be sharing fruit paste and protein wafers when the air scrubbers were choking and the walls themselves felt like they were weeping. But we did it. Maxie found a hidden bottle of whiskey in the morale locker. Anton fried up synth bacon. Denton queued up an old jazz loop he used to listen to on Earth. We sat, we ate, we cried. Coyle placed their hand over mine and said, "This is what will survive. Not your logs, not your transmissions. This." They were right. I took charge of final transmission protocols. Our quantum link was fried, but the emergency entanglement beacon still had a trace of power. Not enough for a full data dump, but enough for a coded signal burst. The AI helped what was left of it. Its language was failing, but its loyalty remained. Together, we compressed 12 days of sensor data, personnel logs, and video feed into a single entangled pulse. I recorded my last words. To any soul who hears this, do not investigate, do not analyze, run. This isn't war. This is experimentation. We were the control group. You will be next. Then I lit the beacon and watched the blue spark flicker into the gravity well. I don't know if it will make it. Coyle was the next to go. They stood between a breach and Maxie when the nullicore pierced the secondary deck. It melted them from the inside, but not before they shoved Maxie into the evacuation chamber and sealed it. Maxie never stopped screaming. Anton was the one who ended her suffering when the nullicore got through the outer chamber wall. She had 6 seconds of lucidity before it hit. Enough time to say, "Thank you." Anton and I, last ones, rigged the remains of the medical bay into a crude magnetic pulse generator. The idea was simple: fire a final EMP wave into the nullicore-infested sectors, corrupt its cohesion, and maybe delay its consumption long enough for the beacon's data to escape. Anton went first. He carried the power core on his back, running through the collapsing corridors like a living conductor. I watched him on the feed. When the pulse hit, the lights flared blue. For 1 second, the substance screamed, not in sound, but in spatial distortion. The black hole flickered. Then Anton vanished. Now it's just me. The control room smells like burnt copper and ozone. The temperature is dropping. The oxygen is thin. My left hand is gone, eaten in an earlier breach. But I bandaged it. I recorded everything. And now, I wait. The darkness comes slowly, like a tide, but I don't fear it, because I said goodbye, because I sent the signal, because someone, somewhere, will hear this. Maybe not today, maybe not this century, but eventually. And when they do, they'll know. We mattered. We resisted. And we never went silent.